Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. Breaking news from Moderna in its fight against COVID-19. Yahoo Finance senior healthcare reporter Anjalee Khemlani joins us for more on this. Anjalee.
That's right, Brian. We've got Moderna out today saying that they are filing their emergency use authorization for their kids' vaccine for those ages under 6 to 6 months. And that's an important a milestone. Of course, we know right now kids are the most undermet really population. They're still ineligible for a vaccine. But it's also important to remember a couple things about this filing. Number one, this is just the start of the filing. They are going to complete the submission by next week, which is when the FDA will then begin to formally look at and review this. And what we have here is 2 doses of the mRNA vaccine at 25 micrograms. That's about a quarter of what the adult vaccine is. And the vaccine efficacy, those numbers are causing some concern. 51% efficacious in the 6 months to under 2 years, and then 37% in 2 to 6 years. Now, while those numbers seem low compared to what we, of course, know about adult vaccines, I've spoken to some experts who say it's important to remember that this happened during the Omicron. The trial was conducted during the Omicron wave, and so it's important to remember that those numbers match what we saw in adults' efficacy, as well as from the company a point that the Omicron variant, of course, has put a lot of pressure on these vaccines, and it still protects against severe disease. And that's the important point. So this protects against the hospitals. Meanwhile, we also saw from Chief Medical Officer Dr. Paul Burton saying to us, quote, "There is a public health need and unmet need. I think the FDA sees that as well. My sense is they will want to get this out." And that quote comes from a concern that some reports have said that the FDA is likely to wait until Pfizer and BioNTech will file their filing for the EUA for under 5. We know that they were looking at a 3-dose vaccine, of course, as a result of some low results in efficacy back in December. So really kind of a wait and see situation as we know right now.
Yeah, more wait and see because parents of young kids have been waiting anxiously already for any news on this front. But let's talk about another aspect of the vaccine news here. Moderna and Pfizer are apparently facing pressure to waive their intellectual property protections to allow production of their vaccines globally. Both of them are having annual shareholder meetings today. What is their commentary on this suggestion?
Yeah, Julie, good point. So we've been hearing about this pressure, of course, for the last several months. As we know, global vaccinations have been stagnated in some parts of the world, and there have been some issues with getting doses to specifically, like the African Union, for example, and other areas. So while they aren't able to or are not agreeing to waive their intellectual property rights, we did get a statement from Moderna saying specifically, quote, "Asking Moderna to transfer intellectual property when hundreds of millions of doses are being declined and already operating manufacturing plants are being idled will do nothing to accelerate the end of the pandemic." So that's really talking about them winding down operations with some of their contract manufacturers. And it's also important to remember that they are selling some of these doses as low as $7 a dose for adults, which is pretty low on the scale of global doses. So all that to say that it's unlikely we'll see any movement on that right now. But, of course, they're still facing that pressure as even the World Health Organization really continues to ask for attention on the fact that global vaccinations are still a priority as this pandemic continues.
Right. And they have to convince people to get the vaccines as well. That's also part of the fight, of course, to your point. Thanks so much, Anjalee. Appreciate it.